This month we'll be putting together a couple little mini notebooks inside a vinyl cover. First notebook has a pocket and then some pages, another pocket. Second notebook starts with pocket, pages, and also ends with a pocket. And both notebooks can pop out of the vinyl cover and then back in again. So if you want to, you can take the notebook out, write in it, draw on it, and then pop it back in the cover, or of course you can also draw on it while it's still in the cover. Inside your envelope there's going to be a couple pieces of old file folder that have been cut into 4.5 by 7-inch pieces and then scored where those dotted lines are shown in this diagram right here. And you're going to need some scissors and some glue. So we'll fold along all the score lines and we'll just reinforce those folds. You can use the handle of your scissors. If you have a bone folder, you can use a bone folder, but handle of your scissors is going to work just fine if that's what you've got handy. Once you've folded along all the score lines, you want to find the smaller rectangles on the left and the right. I've marked them with an X here. And you just want to cut right alongside the fold lines, and you want to cut so that the fold line actually gets cut off along with the rectangle. So you can see the fold line is right here along the edges of the rectangle that got cut off. And now we're going to do the same thing for the other rectangle. We're going to make sure that we cut along the fold line so that the fold line gets cut off with the rectangle. Okay, so we want to fold it so that the cutout rectangles are lined up together, and then we want to go over to where the fold is here and come in about between a 1/2 inch, well, 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch, and we want to cut at an angle. Just cut that little part off right there, and then we want to round that corner right there. So you can kind of start to see the pockets taking shape. I'm going to fold it back in half again and flip one of the pockets up. And then on this longer rectangle, I've got these two longer rectangles together here, I'm going to make a little notch. I'm going to cut straight across to where the top of the pocket is, and then I'm going to come in at an angle here and make a notch. So go straight along where the pocket's going to meet it, and then it has a little notch above that. So after the cutting, we have something that looks like this. And we're going to take these two top flaps here, and we're going to fold those in and glue them down. Just going to add a bunch of glue here on the flap. And fold it over. And maybe use my scissors, the handle of my scissors, run those along there, just squish it all down, make sure it's nice and flat. And same on the other side. We'll fold the pocket pieces up, and then those remaining flaps will fold over top of the pocket and glue down. Same on the other side. Flip the pocket up, put some glue on the flap, and then press the flap down on top of the pocket. And that's the cover for the first of our two notebooks, with the pocket in the front and the back. This next part is optional, but if you want to, you can round all four corners of the cover. For the pages inside the notebook, you'll need a sheet of 8.5 by 11 inch paper, and you're going to cut that into 2.75 inch by 5.5 inch rectangles. You can measure the rectangles out with a ruler, or you can use a paper trimmer, but I am just going to use folding. So I'm going to fold, got the 11-inch side going across, and I'm going to fold that in half to get my 5.5 inches. Okay, I'm going to bring one of the corners up to the fold that I just made. Just match it all up, and I don't want to actually make this diagonal fold. I just want to pinch right here so I could make a mark on my paper. Then I'll open my paper up, and I'm going to fold this way so that the edge of the paper just meets that mark that I just made. So right here was the pinch mark I made, and I've just got the corner of the paper matched up with that, and I folded it. And now I'm just going to cut right along the edge of the paper. And open everything up and cut along all the fold lines. When all the fold lines have been cut, I'm going to take all the rectangles and get them all lined up along one edge, and then I'm going to cut off any overhang, any excess, so that they're all even along the other edge. And I should end up with 6 rectangles that are about 5.5 inches by 2.75 inches. Fold each of the 6 rectangles in half so they end up kind of square shaped. See how it's like kind of square shaped once you fold it? So we're going to fold all 6 of them that way. Once all 6 have been folded, then we're just going to nest them, one inside the other, inside the other. And at that point, we're just going to even up this edge right here. Because we already evened up the other 2 edges, we just have one edge left here. We're just going to cut across there and make sure everything's all nice and even. And you can see how our pages are going to fit inside the cover. There's some wax thread in the envelope and you'll need something to poke holes with. We're going to poke 3 holes, one in the middle and one about 1/4 inch from either edge. My needle is a little too dull and a little too small to poke through all this paper. So I have this pokey tool that I'm going to use, but if you have a large sharp needle, that should work. And worst case, you can punch the holes in each page individually rather than trying to go through all the pages at once. You just want to be careful that the holes all line up through all the pages. So we'll thread the needle and then we'll go out through the middle hole. So we're going out through the pages, then through the cover, out the middle hole. And back in through the top hole. So we're going to go from the cover through the pages in the top hole. Out the bottom hole. And then in the middle hole. With the ends of the thread on either side of the thread that's running down the middle, we're going to pull to snug up the thread, and then we're going to just tie it in a knot that goes over top of that thread that's running down the middle. And then trim the ends of the thread. Give the cover a good fold, and then repeat for the second notebook. The envelope also includes a piece of vinyl with pre-punched holes and a couple pieces of elastic thread. Thread one piece of elastic out the right top hole and back in the left top hole. Out the bottom left hole and then back in the right bottom hole. Snug up the elastic and tie the 2 ends in a knot. You want the knot to be tight enough that the vinyl curls slightly. Just pinches slightly together and curls a little bit. Not too much, but you don't want the vinyl to be laying flat. It'll make the elastic too loose. The elastic needs to be tight enough that it just pulls a little bit on the vinyl. And you may need to undo and redo the knot a couple times to get the tension just right. When you're happy with the tension, just trim off the ends of the elastic cord. And insert the notebooks that you made into the vinyl cover. You'll open the notebook to the middle where the thread is, and then you'll slide that notebook under the elastic. You'll do that for both notebooks. Open to where the thread is in the middle of the notebook, and then slide that under the elastic. Grab that last piece of elastic cord, and we're going to wrap that around the cover and tie a knot. And you want the elastic to be snug around the cover, but you want there to be enough room in the cover for the notebooks. So snug, but not super tight. You also don't want it to be too loose. So if you have to undo the knot and redo the knot a couple times, that's fine. Just get it to where you like it. And then we're going to tie one more overhand knot at the end of our thread just to beef up that knot some. We want that knot thick enough that it's not going to pop out through the hole. Then we pinch the loop and we push that through that center hole in the cover, in the vinyl cover. It's going right through that center hole, and the knot's going to keep it in there. And then we're just going to trim those ends of the elastic cord. And our notebooks with the vinyl cover are done.